Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our weekly integration sync. Today we talk about Subspace's plans to integrate with the Polkadot, Kusama, and Ethereum ecosystems. So we'll give some updates and talk about that. Ved, do you want to get started?
Yep. Hey everyone. Last week, my main focus, give me one second, pulling up some things. Cool. Yeah. Last week, main focus was two things. The first one was we didn't add a feed ID as part of the events that we're sending in as part of the runtime. Serge brought that up. That landed in main today or yesterday. The other one that my main focus was on extracting the objects from the extrinsics, only from those extrinsics that have been successfully validated by the runtime. Before, we used to extract objects from every extrinsic. There was no way for us to tell whether that object was, whether that particular call has been validated or not. Yesterday, that particular chain has landed, and from that, we will be extracting the objects only from those extrinsics that have been validated by the runtime. Apart from that, there is one more PR out there that I'm currently working for this week, along with paraching validation, is filling up the blocks in the reverse order on the relay side as well as the paraching side. So right now, what we do is that we start what some particular point that is Genesis, block zero, and then we go from that point till block n. With this change, what we are doing is we also are supporting starting at one particular block that is a descendant of block zero, and then backfilling those blocks as well as forward filling the rest of the blocks simultaneously. So that would make a lot of testing or getting started with relay chain or parachain much easier to show the live data, because we could start at a much recent block, and then we can start pushing in the live blocks from that point. And then we can also in parallelly start pre-filling all the old blocks that we have missed. That should not at all be constrained by forward filling blocks. So we can do these parallelly and simultaneously at much faster rate. Yeah, so once that lands into the main, we have to make some changes to the relayer. There's one specific field that got added with it. Right now, with the relayer initial data, we should take only the genesis hash. Right now, that is not an assumption anymore. We take a height at which a known parent is. So the height as well as its hash, so that we start that point instead of just genesis hash and starting at block zero. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it on my end. We do have a spec up and up for parachute validation. Do have a look at it. It's part of the Notion protocol engineering. I think Nazar also did have a look at it as well. Not a lot of questions, but there is just some minor details that we are yet to figure out on the state management side. But apart from that, the rest is going okay. Hopefully, we can get started on that end of this week or next week. Once Nazar and Jeremiah are back, there are some things that we would need to discuss going forward. So I think easier once they're back and we can go after that. Yeah, that would be me. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Sounds good to me. Thanks, Ved. Um, Serge, do you have any updates that you want to share?
Yeah, sure. So most of the time I was busy with deploying RelayNet. Uh, that includes Relayer and snapshots of Farmer and Node with all the recent updates. And also there were few minor, relatively minor updates on the Relayer UI, specifically for decoding metadata, because the metadata handling on the runtime has changed, and previously it was a struct, and currently it's a tuple. So that had to be updated on UI so we can reflect those changes properly. And also I made some minor changes, like previously we were updating feeds based on the extrinsics in the block. And now we just check block events, which is like a little bit simpler. And another update was related to feed ownership, because in the one of the recent updates on runtime, we introduced feed ownership, and some of the feeds didn't work after that because they were not created by the same account which submitted the data to the feed, because of the feed ID in the configuration. So that was also like fixed on the relayer. And yeah, those new changes were deployed to another domain for UI application, because we still have like test A environment which runs previous version of snapshots. So UI on test A is not broken. We deploy it on another domain. And yeah, I guess that's all for relayer updates.
Cool. How are things with the parachains that still needed to be onboarded to the relayer? Because I was just adding one yesterday. There's still a few on there, but I haven't checked the relayer to see if they were added or not. I know we have a few back there.
No, there were no changes on my side. I'm still waiting for unique, Pichu, Mangata, Dora, Lit, and Tree, and I don't see they're producing blocks like so we can add them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Polkadot's just won yesterday on Polkadot, so I added them. Is there any updates that we should share on the Ethereum integration? I know there was that's something we've been talking about. Nothing new there.
Not this week, I believe.
Yeah. Apart from the previous research, we didn't focus much on Ethereum at all this week.
Okay. Cool. Well, that sounds good. I guess on my side, just for the parachain updates, Polkadot won this week. They won for another record low on Polkadot, under $10 million, the first one that low. So there's also a parachain, Shiden won their second lease. So they're just renewing. New projects are becoming less and less, and the old projects are just getting ahead and buying their next slots. So kind of interesting to see how that all shakes out. Those are all the updates I have. If you guys are good, if you guys have anything, do you guys have anything else that you want to share before we cut the recording?
No.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next week.